What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all having a great day. We are officially live and we are talking about some epic stuff for real estate today. Now, we already have people commenting and putting in messages. We have Austin, Texas in the house. What's going on? Austin's not too far from me. I'm in Dallas, Texas. And by the way, the weather today in Dallas, Texas is unbelievable. It is beautiful, and it is honestly weather that you go in a convertible, drop top, and just cruise in your day. That's the weather for today. Sometimes I wonder, why do people live in California? They say it's for the weather, but here in Texas, we have very good weather. I mean, sometimes it's bipolar. Sometimes it's snowing and then it got sun in the same day, and then it rains, and then it sleets. But overall, it's great weather, and we don't gotta pay state income tax, which I heard is about 13.3%, which is unbelievable. That's a premium to pay. All of you who are watching this should move down to Dallas, Texas, because that's where it's at. Anyways, guys, today we're talking about some epic stuff. Remember, I told you before in previous live streams, if I'm looking down, it's because I got my laptop with me and I'm looking at things to stay on track. We're talking about the housing crash and how it's actually happening and how there's going to be a foreclosure crisis. Not today, not tomorrow, but it's coming. Whether it happens in 6 months or in 18 months or in a couple years, it's coming. There's no way that we can avoid it. Now, for everybody who's watching right now, if you got any questions, if you have any ideas, if you have anything you just want to bounce off with me, comment it. Don't be afraid. We're here. I come every single Saturday at 12 p.m. live for you. So we could talk together, so we can relay messages, and so we can be on the same page with what's happening in the market. We have already people commenting, can't wait to buy a forever house with crypto or silver. Cryptocurrency with buying real estate actually is already happening. I know some deals that went through for Bitcoin where it actually went through by purchasing the house with Bitcoin. So that's already happening, but it's probably going to get on a what you say is like a grand scale of everybody actually starting to use it. I wonder if it would. It has years to come though. We have Ramus coming in, lost that here in Texas. So you should probably head out of Cali and come down to here. What do you say about that? And I'll find you a property, I promise you. I'll find you a real good property too. For those of you that don't know, I'm a real estate agent. I specialize in commercial real estate. Started my career in residential real estate. Then I kind of transitioned more to commercial because I don't like to have the emotion dealing that you have with residential. I still do residential for in-house and for referrals and such, but I don't go out and chase that business. And of course, I do a lot of investments, working on some developments and so forth. So that's just what I like to do for fun. I love real estate and I love the game of real estate. Now, for everybody, if you can see me, hear me, make sure that you let me know that. And most importantly, I got this camera after fighting back and forth to get it on 1080p. It's on 1080p. So please, if you're watching this, put it on 1080p so you can see a crisp Karam Khalil, me being crisp in the scene. That's why I have it for you guys. Now, we're talking today about the eviction crisis, about the housing crisis, about the foreclosure crisis, about the layoff crisis, about the mortgage delinquency crisis. So many crises and so many things that we're talking about in this live stream that for all of you who are live right now, you're going to hear it first. And then if you have anything, drop it down and so you can share your thoughts with me. Also, I have some exciting news. We got right here merch coming out. This is the first piece that I've ever made. This is the iconic real estate face mask. You put it just like this. You swag it out. You hit some poses with it. Left, right. You look up. You do what you have to do. You can even do the hand gesture like that. Whatever. But you got the real estate face mask. You got the signature right here, of course, from me right there. And this is the first piece that we have. We're going to be doing some caps, some t-shirts, some sweatshirts, some phone cases, some everything that you can think of, even pop sockets, if they're still in the trend, because I remember they used to be hot, but I wonder how they are now. But we're going to do everything. Anyways, I think we got enough people on this live right now. If you guys are enjoying so far, please don't forget to hit the like button. This is to talk to one another, so don't be shy as I'm talking. Put your comments in and give some love when you give it that like. We got Najib in the house, Rusangwa Property Cook. So you cook for properties, or what's up with that name? It's a cool name, but what is it? Give me some explanation on that. What's up? What's up? We have Crypto Roger saying, I have the crypto and silver. I can pay with cash, but I want to use the proceeds with crypto. Interesting. I think that's going to be something that you could do depending on the seller, and then also it'll probably happen more in the future. Anyways, guys, let's jump right into it and let's talk about what we have going on now. We have an eviction crisis. What this means when we say crisis is there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are renting homes right now, who got laid off from their jobs, who can't pay their rent. Thousands might be an understatement. It might even be in the millions who lost their job and they just can't pay for their rent anymore. Now, landlords by law, as of right now, they can't evict people. At least that was what was happening the past couple of months. They were unable to. Now I'm hearing, at least in Texas, in Dallas, Texas, where I'm at, is we can actually start evicting. Landlords can start evicting. Now, if you're a landlord, do it with sympathy. Try to help out and don't just resort straight to kicking them out. People are going through a lot with this pandemic, so don't just jump into it. But in this live, we're talking about the eviction crisis of people are not being able to pay their rents. And if rent is not being collected by the landlord, then the landlord can't pay the banks. And if the banks aren't getting paid, they want to foreclose on the property. So it's not just one person in the picture. It's not just two people, not tenant and landlord, but it's now also a bank if the landlord is not owning the property outright with cash. So you guys can only imagine you have three things involved with one thing: a tenant not paying rent, a landlord not collecting rent, and then the landlord not paying the bank. It's chaotic. Now, thousands, if not millions, are being laid off of work. Not only that, people are not getting any money right now. Businesses are shutting left and right. There's no revenue being produced. I went to a burger joint yesterday, a burger restaurant, and it was just me in there with my wife. It was absolutely nobody over there. And I was like, this is just dead. And I even said, I'll put $100,000 that if they don't close within a year, I'll lose that money. I was that confident they're just not going to succeed. Not because their food is bad, but because things are just not going good right now in the market. And they're honestly positioned in a bad location, but they spent high-end money on that location. Uplifted as banks can start to foreclose and landlords can start to evict and tenants can't pay their rent. Eventually, those tenants who can't pay their rent are going to be kicked out. And you're going to have one after the other, after the other, after the other, because it's been months since they should have been kicked out, but they haven't been because of what we had in place by the government, which is you couldn't evict, you couldn't foreclose, you couldn't do none of that stuff. So that's why I'm saying we have an eviction crisis coming, guys, and that's not something that's cool to say or something that's to look forward to. But if you're in real estate, it's definitely something you want to keep your ears hearing and your eyes seeing, because there's opportunity for you to jump in to pick up some steal deals. Let me jump in back to the comments and see what's going on. He said, haha, you know I like food. Najib's name says, Rusangwa Property Cook. I'm starting a YouTube channel that show property while cooking next year. That's pretty cool. I'll probably be hungry watching that YouTube video that you got, but that's awesome. Go for it. So now we're talking about from the eviction crisis to the housing crisis. Now, the problem that we have with the housing crisis is mortgage delinquencies. Now, you live in a house right now and you can't pay your mortgage. So you go to the bank and say, hey, I need some help. I want to do forbearance. Forbearance means for 3 months, for 6 months, for 12 months, you don't have to pay your mortgage. And not having to pay your mortgage means that you're chilling. You're just sitting back, laying down, and you don't got to pay your mortgage at all. But the problem with that is, as soon as your agreement with the bank ends, which is starting to end for so many people, as soon as that ends, what are you going to do? From what I'm hearing, some banks are saying that you'll have 6 months no payments to have to make for your bank, right? You're good. You don't got to pay your mortgage for 6 months. What I'm hearing is on the 7th month, you got to put the entire 7 months in one payment. To me, that's crazy. For 6 months, you didn't have to pay your mortgage. On the 7th month, they're wanting all of it at one time. Now, how can you do that when you just got laid off? How can you do that when you have no money? How can you do that when things aren't going good? And that's why you requested the forbearance. That's why a housing crisis is near. Because as forbearance start to end and people have to pay up their forbearance in one lump sum, it's going to hit hard. And even if they don't have to pay it in one lump sum, how are they going to pay it if they got laid off and lost their job? You're talking about American Airlines set to lay off 19,000 employees. 19,000 employees, and they're saying that they may even push it to 40,000 employees. Let me even confirm this for you right here. We have United Airlines saying that they're laying off 13,000 employees. This is just the airline industry. We have Disney saying that they're laying off over 28,000 people. 28,000 people. They have more than 100,000 employees. It's saying right here that they're to lay off almost 28,000 people. Now, I'm not that good at math, but that's almost 30% of their workforce being laid off. Where do they go? Aren't they paying rent? Aren't they living in a home that they're paying a bank note on? Aren't they having to make mortgage payments? What's happening with those guys? What's happening when they get laid off and they're living already month to month? It's honestly crazy. It's honestly something that's concerning. It's something that so many people are not taking seriously. And, I was reading and I was looking through a lot of these articles, and I was finding out that over 3 million people, 3 million people have moved back in to their parents' or grandparents' houses. Now, I don't know about you, but 3 million people moving back into their parents' or grandparents' houses, that doesn't sound like something good. That sounds like there is a lot happening right now, and there's a lot of struggle going on. Now, when you talk about a housing crisis, you're talking about foreclosures, you're talking about not enough supply, and you're talking about a ton of demand. Guys, the rates right now are very low. Banks are giving very low rates. When the banks give you very low rates, it's because they're trying to keep the market stabilized. They're trying to not have people panic, and they want to keep funneling money into the economy. So the rates right now are low. So you're talking about low rates. You're talking about foreclosures are off. For the past couple of months, remember, I specialize in foreclosures. When I first started my career, I would be at the county courthouse steps, buying houses from the auction, remodeling them and flipping them. That's what I started doing. These past 6 to 8 months, it hasn't even been going on since, I believe, March or a month before March. It hasn't even been going on. Not because of the forbearance, because of the bans, because of the shutdowns, because of all this stuff going on. So you're talking about foreclosures being suspended, evictions being suspended. You're talking about mortgage delinquencies. People are not paying their mortgage. You're talking about there's not enough supply in the market. You're talking about people don't want to move because majority are laid off, or majority of the work that they used to do in an office, they now moved them into their home to work remotely. You're talking about there is absolutely nothing going right now. There's not enough homes, and there's a lot of people who want to move into homes. Now, there's low rates, but even for those low rates, people are not paying their notes. People are not paying off their notes because they got laid off. It's a mess. It's confusing. It's so much going into the other, but there is something that's going to happen, and this isn't going to fly for free. There has to be something that happens. These trillions of dollars of stimulus checks and stimulus money being printed, it's not going to be for free. There's no such thing, guys, as a free ride, especially in the United States. Actually, anywhere in the world, there's no such thing as a free ride. If you get $1 from someone, they're expecting that dollar back. And if the government's given $1 trillion, then they're going to expect $1 trillion back. Whether that's getting it today or getting it from your kids or your grandkids, eventually they're going to do something, whether it's raising taxes or somehow making that money back. And that's just how the world works. So there's a lot happening right now. There's a lot of panic, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. And for investors, they're just holding on tight to their cash. Investors do not want to let go of their cash. They don't know what's happening. They don't know what's happening with the presidential debate. They don't know who's going to become president. It's just a whole world. Now, when you're talking about why are there not many homes on the market? Why are home prices so high? A lot of people are wondering that. A lot of people are wondering, why are homes way overpriced? I mean, a home's supposed to be here, it's being listed right here. And people are wondering, why is that happening? Well, let me give you a little run through of why that's happening. Number one, low interest rates, right? People flock to get loans, 30-year fixed loans, because there's low interest rates. Number two, there's not that much supply. Nobody's really trying to sell right now. Everybody's just chilling in their home, holding tight, and trying to survive. Number three, foreclosures are not happening. What this means is from what I was reading in an article, they say that 2 to 3% of the real estate market is from foreclosures. And honestly, I think that's a little bit. It might even be more. So that's not even happening. Number 4, there's so much people running to buy homes that there's not enough supply of homes. So you're talking about people from Cali and New York especially are flocking here to Texas. So people from Cali, if you're watching and you're from Cali, we know that you guys love Texas and are trying to come down here. People from New York are doing the same. In Cali, you have a duplex or you have a single family home, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, and you're selling it for $1 million. You're coming to Texas and you're buying for $1 million an entire mansion without state income tax. Remember that. So why wouldn't they be flocking here? And why wouldn't there be so much demand to come down to Texas? So for those who are wondering why are prices so high, that's a big reason on why. And that's a legit reason on why things are just so chaotic right now, is because people are just uncertain on what's happening and people don't know what's going to happen and what's really going to become within the next couple of months. And people, you're right, 100%. And that's a lot of people. From what I was reading, their workforce is almost 100,000, a little bit more than that. They laid off almost 30% of their workforce. That's not easy. We have Mike saying how many the crash percent will be. How much percent he's saying will the crash be. There's no percentage. There's just a high chance and then there's a low chance. In my opinion, this is all opinion based. There's a high chance a crash is going to happen. Now, people might be wondering, is a crash like 2008 and properties retracing 30-40% in value? I don't see that happening, at least in the strong states like Texas, especially Dallas, Texas. I don't see that happening. I do see a pullback. I do see more supply coming into the market. I see demand coming up with the supply. Therefore, everything just balances out. I don't think a massive crash, but I do think that there's going to be something crazy regarding foreclosures, regarding the home pricing, regarding a lot of things just shifting in the real estate market. I definitely believe that. So the percentage, from my opinion, is very high. Mango Chocolate, that name. Why can't we send cash on the live? I'm not sure. I think that I have to enable sending cash. That's real nice of you that you want to send cash on this live. I appreciate that. I probably have to enable that or something, but I don't have it on right now, so maybe I'll check that out after. That's cool to put some cash on the live. We have Andres saying, right, they could evict, but then they will find a super hard time to find other tenants unless they sell the property. Beautifully said. So he's saying landlords could evict the tenants, but then they're going to have a hard time to find new tenants. If you're talking about residential real estate, it's going to be a breeze to find new tenants. New tenants are begging to find homes to rent. There's not enough homes to rent. I was actually reading an article that says that if Texas, I believe it was towards Texas, if we don't build 4.3 million more apartment units by 2030, we will have a shortage in having places to rent out. Something around those lines. I'm speaking off the top of my head for that, but it was a big number. By 2030, we're in 2020 and we're having already that shortage that was said for 2030. And especially because this pandemic, it just pushed back almost everything. So it's honestly been crazy. Remember, guys, if you're getting any value from this live, please don't forget to hit that like button. It encourages me and it shows that I'm putting in some value for all of you. So I appreciate that. We got Rusang was saying, this is the time to buy a home. I can get you a 2.8% rate and I just closed on a home for $180K, $1,100 a month. So he's saying he just closed on a home. $180,000 a month is not too cheap. I would think it would be cheaper, but it depends on how much down that they put. I'm excited for more properties coming on the market next year. It is a great time for investors. I agree. It's a great time for investors, for real estate investors who are aggressive, who are looking, and the real estate people who are in this live stream right now. You, on a beautiful, whether it's Saturday, at least in Dallas, Texas, for you to be on this live stream means that you are special. It means that you're putting in the time to learn and to research and to gain more knowledge. That's not something that everybody does. So you're going to be ahead and you're going to be more informed, and that's how you're going to win. And if you're just learning and you're still not in the real estate game, that's no problem. Having knowledge in your head is the most important thing, because when you get in the game, you'll be prepared and you'll be ready. So $180,000, they bought a home. That's what Rasang was saying. They bought a home for $180,000. They're paying $1,100 a month. and they put $6,000 down. I'm assuming that's an FHA loan, possibly 3.5%, 180. Yeah, about 3.5% down. That's interesting. So that's real good. Now you guys see that we're talking about in this live stream. We're talking about the foreclosure crisis, the eviction crisis, the housing crisis, the layoff crisis, the mortgage delinquency crisis. So many crises, so much things to fear, and so much things that are uncertain. I'm giving you guys this video so you guys can be ahead, so you guys can take advantage, and so you guys can understand what is happening with the market and what the world has, and really what's happening in the real estate world. I'm a real estate agent. I actively do deals every single day. And right now for commercial real estate, it's very tough for a lot of business owners. They're shutting down. I've had landlords have 4 or 5 with this virus, but no, residential is thriving. Commercial real estate is the one that's actually dying, especially retail and office spaces. They're getting hit the most. It's sad, but there's nothing you can do. When a market shifts, guys, a market shifts. Ramus is saying, I don't want to move out of California, but I do want to buy a rental in Texas. I mean, if you're going to buy a rental in Texas, the only reason you should is because comparing to Cali prices, over here you can buy a nice rental for $200,000 in certain areas. You can even find them cheaper, 160, 170, and then you got to do some rehab to them. You can even find them cheaper, but in the more ghetto sides or the more not safe sides, but that still works. But I don't know if I would buy, if I live in Cali, I don't know if I would buy in Texas, because you just got to property manage that. And if you're going to hire a property management company, they're going to take 5 to 10%. It's going to eat through your cash flow. You're not going to be informed on the property. You're going to have to keep busting trips to visit to make sure everything is looking good. You're not going to be close by to be able to manage it. I don't know if I would advise that to you, to be honest. It's just too much hassle, too much headache. Your cash flow of $200, $300, $400 a month will go on plane tickets, just you coming back to check on it, especially if you got a bad property management company, and they're all over the place. Let me tell you that. There's a lot of bad property management companies, so I don't know if I would trust that. Yes, it was an FHA loan. Yeah, FHA loans, you can do as cheap as 3.5%. It's crazy. For all of you who are watching this live right now, if you got any questions, drop it down right now, because I'm here to answer those questions. We're here to just chat back and forth. I'm telling you basically the market, where it sits, what I see happening, and my opinion on everything. My opinion is not always going to be 100% right, but it's coming from someone who's in the market. So hopefully that's enough credibility for you guys to be understanding that what I'm saying is from what I'm seeing and what I'm reading and actually doing. Practicality, a doer, that's the best thing, right? There's a lot of people who just read and don't actually do, and that's the toughest to believe. But thankfully I actually do read and all of that stuff, so hopefully you guys take it good. Don't forget, guys, one more time, we got new merch coming out, and also I have the website, my website. I'm finishing it off. This is the first merch piece that I made. It's a face mask, a real estate face mask, and there's so much more coming. My website's going to basically be everything about me. It's going to be everything about me. It's going to be future courses. It's going to be merch on there. It's going to be just the whole runaround. If you don't know much about me, it's going to have everything for you to know more about me. But for those who are just jumping in, make sure you start from the beginning of this live stream, because we're sharing with you everything that's important in real estate and that you should be caring for and looking out for. And that's the truth. Whenever you're in the real estate world, there's so much you got to be paying attention to, because one thing can shift the entire market the next morning. As if you lived in 2008 and you were old enough to see, that's some of the stuff that happened there. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate all of you for the support, for the love, for giving me those likes. If you got any value from this live stream, please give it a like. It's Saturday and I'm coming live for all of you because y'all deserve it. And those who are tuning in, I believe, have big things for themselves in the future. So thank you all so much for the support, for the constant love, and for all of that. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. I also got a Spotify. It's just my name, Karam Khalil. I take my videos and I put them in audio format, and you can go check those out as you're cruising and driving or going to work. You can listen to that. So my Instagram is my name, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. Whatever platform you like, I'm on everything. So go check me out on there. Anyways, guys, I'll see y'all later. Thank you so much, and I'm out.